We did it. It's Wednesday again. Live streaming. Good Lord. I don't know why that was so difficult. Today's flavor is once again white peach. I have favorites. What can I say? Today's lighting is indeed washing me out a little bit. I don't know why. I don't know what's different about today versus other days, but we're dealing with it as always. Hello. Hello. Friends are already joining. How is everyone doing? I can't believe it's Wednesday yet again. You may even notice that there are ads. If you don't get an ad, maybe you don't get an ad. It is what it is. But really exciting news, guys. We've made $10 this month. Very exciting. Let's see. What's going on? Hello, hello, hello. I am exhausted today, but we're going to power through with the help of this one. And if I finish this, I have a June berry. And if I finish that one, then I have to go. That's what I have to do. I have to do it. Hello, everyone. I feel like I was just doing this, but that's because I had book club yesterday, and book club was a ton of fun. If you're a member of the Patreon, it will be uploaded today. I just have to download it and then upload it to Patreon. It's very fun. Hello. Why is this so low? I guess that's what's happening. Okay. Happy Elul. For those of you who don't know, today's the first day of, well, actually, is it Elul starting tonight? What day is it today? Is it? Okay, technically, Elul starts on Friday. Well, technically it starts Thursday night. So, yeah, the 10 doll hairs. Hey, I did a TikTok the other day. I think I just put it on my Instagram about how much money I make per month. I did forget to include Facebook. So I'll have to include that one next month. But I made a whole $208 in July. You know, it's always funny because people in my regular life will be like, wow, you have so many followers. You must make so much money. If I had $1 for every follower, life wouldn't be it. You're right. What's happening on my Instagram? I never know. Sometimes I get notifications and I go click on them and they're gone. What is everyone up to? Does everyone have a fun beverage? Roll call. Where are we watching from? What are we doing? What are we beveraging? Last week, someone had hot cocoa, and now I've been wanting hot cocoa all week, but it's a bajillion degrees, and my place is quite old, so I don't have good AC. That's not even the AC's fault. There's not good insulation, so there is no way to keep the house cool, even if I pay out the wazoo for it. Yeah. Okay. I don't know how long. Phoebe is in the room, by the way. He's over there, so if you hear a cat, you know what's happening. If you're watching from TikTok, by the way, I can't see your comments, so you will have to either come to YouTube or to Twitch if you want. Off-brand Dr. Pepper, of course. Orange juice with bubbly water. It's like a mimosa. One of the things that I think we do better. Oh, yeah. It's the dogs. One of the things that I think is really quite good in Jewish, in Germany, good Lord, my brain is on nothing, is Apfelschorle, which is apple juice with sparkling water. I love an Apfelschorle. It's not something you can really find here. It's not common. Oh, yeah. Those poor dogs. I love them very much, but they are driving me crazy. Let's see. I don't remember if I saved anything to show this week, like to put on the screen. I feel like I didn't see anything interesting. Also, I've been dealing with the fact that Instagram does not let me see my tagged anything. So if someone tags me in something, I literally cannot see it. Also, there's a chance my mouse is going to die. What is Apple? Apple teaser? That's just sparkling apple juice. I am not familiar with that one. Yeah, getting in touch with Judaism without believing in God is something that happens for a lot of people. And what God is, or who God is, or how God is a big debate within Judaism, right? And so one of the things that you can do is getting in touch with the cultural aspects, right? So food, music, literature, writing, traditions that way. For example, Rosh Chodesh, right? The celebration of the new moon, reading about history, reading about these traditions, engaging in these practices, right? Using the methodology of time. Time is inherently political, right? The concept of the Gregorian calendar is named after Pope Gregory. The way we track time is political, is based on cultural standards and cultural hegemony. So I think it's important that we can look at how we form culture, who we allow to be in charge of our cultural institutions and our cultural connection. I always recommend food. I always recommend food as a really good way to connect, because food is not only something that is informed by Jewish tradition, but it's informed by our community's access, so our history. For example, cholent, or chamim, is a food that has been traced back thousands of years across various different Jewish communities. So I think that's a good one. And it's delicious. Cholent is also really yummy. And I don't put barley in my cholent, which I know is controversial, but I don't believe in putting barley in cholent. It's just not what I grew up with, and so I don't do it. Yeah. Oh, I can't believe that it's already Wednesday again. Like every week, it's Wednesday again. How is that possible? How do we have that many Wednesdays? I know I've said it a couple times. Craving salt water with parsley right now. All right, you just have to wait till next Pesach. Yeah, you gotta wait till Pesach for that. All right, let's see. When I tell you that my tummy jumping jacks right now because I ate a sandwich before this. Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to say thank you for giving me insight into Jewish culture in general. Growing up in Central Europe, that isn't Germany or Austria, no one really teaches you about Judaism. Honestly, you don't learn a lot about Judaism in many places in America too. If you are not in an area that has a lot of Jews, chances are you're going to learn very, very little about Jews. Saltwater with parsley is one of the foods that we eat during Passover, the Passover Seder. Some people do onions instead. Some people do romaine, but parsley is very common. Just dip the parsley in the salt water to represent the tears of our ancestors. Yeah. If you're fascinated by Judaism, there are many good places to start. Learning about Judaism is a great start. Learning about your local Jewish community, seeing what's up with your local Jewish community, getting involved there. It's always a good one. I swear I did save something that I wanted to show, like put on the screen, but I don't remember. Oh, you know what I have been talking about, ranting and raving about like a lunatic? I talked about this. I posted a video on Instagram, which, by the way, Instagram, whoa, there was a minute there where it was being supportive and showing my content to people, but no. Lennon Moomin, welcome to the chat. Welcome back. You were dearly missed. You must now tell us what beverage you're drinking and what temperature it is there. I live in an area with a decent Jewish population and still knew the bare bones of things. Yeah. It's Thursday. Oh, yeah, that's true. Sorry, Nehemiah just said something crazy that I have to take a second to process. By the way, speaking of which, PragerU made a Passover Seder-inspired holiday about the American Revolution. I hated that so much. That entire sentence was awful. Instagram is terrible all the time, but unfortunately, I do need it to survive. Sometimes I'll have customers who come in and they're like, I'm just never on Instagram. And I'm like, wow, that is a dream come true, babes. All right. By the way, no one say anything bonkers because I do have to charge my mouse. And this is an Apple mouse from I got it refurbished online like 4 years ago. This is how it charges. Isn't this not the silliest way to charge a mouse? Because unless you do it on the edge of a table like this, it is now become unusable. I'm pretty sure you mentioned you're drinking what was it, Lakewood water? That would make sense. But yeah, I hate this mouse. I hate it too. I also hate it. Here's the thing about me. So I have ADHD, and one of the ways that I forgot to take my meds today. Just had a realization that I didn't take them. One of the things that does help me actually work more is when I get a new keyboard. And I'm very particular about the keyboards I have. Currently, I have been using the Aula, A-U-L-A. This is the Aula model number S99 gaming keyboard. Do I use it for gaming? No. Do I use it because I like the clicky clacky noise? Yeah, I love the clicky clacky noise. The clicky clack noise is delightful, okay? It's so fun. I love tippy tapping it. But there was a period there where I didn't have this keyboard yet. And so I treated myself. By the way, one thing about me, I love refurbished technology. Most of my technology comes to me refurbished. One, it's so much cheaper. And two, it's way better for the environment because a lot of these things that go into making them are not renewable. So, for example, I got pencil shavings on it down there. This is the Mac keyboard that I got. Obviously, I got it refurbished. Wow, I apparently spilled pencil shavings on it somehow. But I do love the texture of this one. This one's kind of like old standard. I get a lot of work done when I use this one. I probably should keep it out just so I force myself. Anyway, point is, because I got this monitor, that's when I got that bad boy. And I don't remember what I was talking about. No clue. Don't know where I'm going with this discussion. I have no idea what I was talking about. Well, someone will remind me hopefully in chat. Okay. Whew, let's look. Okay, now I've charged. I think it's charged to a whole. No one scream. It's charged to a whole 2%. Okay, there's a lot of comments that I haven't looked at. Parsley, watching from. Okay, spinning yarn. Yes, spin your yarn. I personally love spinning. I have a drop spindle and I love it. But there was once someone who came to the shop for our local Stitch and Bitch and brought an entire spinning wheel. It was delightful. Do you speak Hebrew and Yiddish? Yes, to varying levels of understanding and fluency. I wouldn't say I'm fluent in either. I wouldn't say I was even nearly fluent. And my Hebrew is worse than my Yiddish. Not many places that sell refurbished tech here, though. Yeah, unfortunately, I just love, as much as America sucks, I do love that we have access. My sweaters are adorable. Thank you so much. It's from Things Between. I want them to sponsor me. I want them to send me free things. That's what I want. I love this sweater. I wear it all the time. And here's one thing about me. I will wear something till it's dead. I wore a sweater from Forever 21 that I got in 7th grade. I wore that until, I think I wore it for 14 years. Yeah, that sounds about right. Any advice on learning Judaism if you live, if there's no Jewish community nearby? I'm from a country with almost no Jewish community. Yeah, that's not uncommon. There's a lot of places with no Jews. The internet has a lot of really good information. My Jewish learning is kind of a good place to start, depending on what you're looking for. They have a lot of basic intro things. I think that that's always a good one. There are other books like Anita Diamant's Living a Jewish Life that's always recommended. Okay, there was another question I feel like I've missed. Where did it go? I wish I could watch on Twitch. Commenting would be so much easier and more interactive. I feel like I'm just alone here. You're not alone. I promise. I see them. I mean, and everyone can see them on the screen. It's just hard to respond. I know. Okay. Oga Sheepy asked, if you don't mind me asking, what's your opinion on Shabbatai Tzvi, apologies for misspellings, and the Frankists and their presence on social media? There is no presence of Frankists or Shabbatai Tzvi on social media because, one, Frankists no longer exist. And two, Shabbatai Tzvi is dead. Now, do they have followers? Yeah. Do people follow false prophets all the time? Yeah. Frankists were a very specific sect that were entirely rejected by the mainstream Jewish communities at the time. And they were absolutely rejected constantly and consistently. And the people claiming to be Frankists at this point are oftentimes have no idea what they're talking about, or two, ding, 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 are literally just promoting anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Like just the idea, they use it as like a cudgel. It's like if we mentioned some of the like scary Christian denominations that there have been throughout history who did kind of scary things, which people don't like to bring up. And we were like, actually, they're the ones running the world. It's not really a useful thing. And you're never going to believe it. You know who is a huge proponent of it? Oh my God, it's Candace Owens. Man, who could have seen that coming? Darn. Okay, there's comments. Okay. I personally found quite a few books on Jewish folklore at my bookstore. Only clothes I've ever worn until they felt like they were trainers. I wear my shoes till there's holes in them. I recently have been trying to not buy any more shoes and try and wear the shoes that I have until they're completely done. Because I realized like I don't need 9 pairs of shoes. And I think I actually have more than 9. But the point is I don't need that many. And the ones I have are going to last me. So I'm trying to wear the ones I have, especially my tabbies. I love my tabbies. I just got them this year. I wear them. My cost per wear for items, by the way, I wear everything to death. I saw a statistic about how most people wear their clothes only 7 to 10 times before throwing it out. I cannot believe that. That's shocking to me. Oh, I forgot that I was supposed to do. Ooh, I forgot that I should have this on so I can see when people are when I'm going to do an advertisement. For those of you who don't know, I did it. We did it by me. You did it. We are now able to ding, 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 do ads, which means I can, how do I do this? Quick actions. That's not what I want. How do I add? No. How do I add this? How do I do this? What am I doing? Edit layout. There we go. That's what it is. Ads manager. So we have ads in 27 minutes. 7 to 10 is crazy. It's bonkers. I don't know how people are throwing their clothes out after only wearing them 7 to 10 times. You're visiting my store next week. I can't wait to see you. For those of you who don't know, I have a store. I own a little shop. It's a metaphysical shop plus bookstore. All the cute, fun things. We're in Los Angeles. We're open Sunday to Wednesday. Very exciting. I don't really watch horror movies. I love horror novels. I'm not a big horror movie person, so I haven't seen it. But I wonder if anyone else has seen it in the chat and maybe wants to give opinions. This is such a cool idea. I recently started trying to create a map of folklore and folk practices from the places I/my family have lived/are from. That is so cool. I haven't found a book on casting lots that I wholeheartedly recommend. Yeah, I haven't found one that I fully endorse. Well, how do I fix this? This is annoying me. I don't like this part. Okay. Yeah, it's an interesting thing, but it's difficult to find a fully reliable source on it, unfortunately. Okay, I just pulled it up. Yay, we can see it. Yay. All right. Apparently there's 16 people watching on Twitch. Hello. I love being able to see the numbers. I think I've told people this before, but something about me, I love my analytics. If I could have one of those little Sims pop-up bars, I want to know my analytics at all times. I want to know everything at all points. How many Cheerios have I eaten in my life? How many of the, like, just, I want to know all the little things. Why? I don't know. I just do. Okay. I just want to know it. I'm trying to write something, but I'm unable to think of a Jewish fantasy story that's not just a retelling of something that's actually happened to us. There are many. Okay. Fantasy stories wise, right? Obviously things that did actually happen, like the Golem of Prague, right? Well, supposedly things that actually happened, right? So, stories of oppression. Then there's really cool ones like the Baal Shem Tov, right? The Baal Shem Tov, there's a really fun story about him and the werewolf. That one's really great. It ends with him plunging his hand into the werewolf's chest and ripping out his heart and giving it back to the earth. Yeah. And there are lots of real fun stories. There's books. This isn't the right one. Like these two. So this is Yiddish folk tales, and then this is a treasury of Jewish folklore. Both of these are really, really good when it comes to just learning different stories. And I promise there are some funky ones in there. Some of them are just fully nuts because, they were just doing all kinds of things. They were at all times. What was the next one? I'm trying to write something, but wait, I already read that one. I'm curious to hear what your favorite parts of Jewish folklore / magic, etc. I'm Jewish, yet I hardly know about that world. It's hard to pick one of the favorites. I think that I really resonate a lot with stories about evil eye and protection because I think that they're rooted so much in the human need for protection, the human need for community, the human need for accountability, which I think is really interesting. Yeah, just casually borrowing a werewolf heart. Why not? Why not? Oh, by the way, my comments have been bonkers because I made a video about how I think that the way people, still are obsessed with Trisha Paytas is dangerous. And people are not pleased with me about it. They're not happy. And the amount of people leaving rude comments. Man, who could have seen that coming? Who could have seen that coming? It's just bonkers. Oh, it's wild. I forgot I even had this book, and it's kind of an important one that I should be picking up more. This is The Arab in Hebrew Fiction. It's a very interesting collection, and I remember I grabbed it because it was on sale for $5 at a store. But yeah, I'm interested to see. By the way, did you know that Herzl only went to Palestine once? And he was only there for like a little bit. Yeah. Isn't that wild? You don't want to know who Trisha Paytas is. She's a content creator who's been doing horrible things on the internet for years. I grew up being told not to cut my nails at night, otherwise a snake would come. There's also specific rules about how the order you cut your nails in. And I was cutting beets, by the way, yellow beets, and now my finger is weirdly stained. Yeah, she's been horribly bigoted many, many, many times. By the way, I have very fragile, weak nails, so I've been putting on cuticle oil every second I can, multiple times a day. Is the Jewish Encyclopedia one? Which encyclopedia do you have? there are many encyclopedias when it comes to Jewish myth. I have a dictionary of Jewish folklore and legend. There's the larger encyclopedia down there. That one is another. There's a lot. Jews love an encyclopedia. Have I seen the news about the Israelis in the Chabad house in Siargao Island in the Philippines? I haven't. Tree of Souls. Yeah, that's one I do have. Tree of Souls has some problems with it academically and also including some of the things it says. Yeah, the Howard Schwartz one. Whew. By the way, I'm going to be filming. I'm trying to remind myself to actually do it because I keep telling myself I will. People keep asking me to do a day in the life. And so I'll be doing it this Friday before Shabbos, obviously, so people can see what like a day of prepping for Shabbat kind of looks like. And I'm very excited. By the way, I wanted to show you this. This is my tiny Tehillim or Tehillim. It's so fun. Isn't it adorable? I love tiny books. Yeah. By the way, someone asked me about these. All of these bookshelves are actually from Target and they're on sale. They were $35 when I got them in 2020, I think. For $35, they're doing pretty good. Okay. The fact that they're upright and nothing's falling on me. Lian Hara. You have to say it. You have to say no evil eye. I'm pretty proud of it for the fact that I'm $35. Not bad. Though, to be fair, I also have books like piled all around me because that is actually not enough bookshelf space. I do need more bookshelves. Yeah, I must. I am planning on doing a video on the evil eye for Instagram that's shorter and more comprehensive, but I already have a blog post and a podcast episode about it on jewwitches.com. I can see if I can pull it up. The evil eye. It's from 2023. Probably update it, but let me just put it in the chat. Was this done? Hello. Okay. I don't know. Oh, good God almighty, my hip just cracked so hard. Sure. What are you interested in about Kabbalah? Like what part of it do you want me to explain? I think it's kind of difficult when you say just like explain it because the explanation isn't going to be helpful if I'm addressing something completely different, right? On a basic level, Kabbalah is an explanation of the universe. And not just like the universe in general, in specific, the human relationship with God, right? What is God and how are we in relationship with God? And it doesn't just do that generically and wildly, like whatever, right? It pulls it from the Torah. The Torah is the central text of Judaism, right? We've got the 5 books of Moses. Then we have, Torah, and then we have Tanakh, right? Which are the 5 books of Moses plus we've got writings and prophets, right? And so we have central texts of Kabbalah, meaning it's a mystical explanation, right? That seeks to look at the deeper layers. It's exegesis. It's looking into the text. So the Zohar is one commentary on the Torah. And it has this fundamental idea, right? Of where God is, what God is, how God is, and most importantly, what we are in comparison to God. Like in sort of like, what are we grains of sand in the face of vast nothingness, right? Which is a really, really difficult thing to discuss. And like, there are interesting parts, like for example, this idea that there were these vessels and these vessels contained divinity and there was the shattering of the vessels and all those vessels sort of were spread around and it's our job to retrieve the pieces to, it's like, it's kind of a difficult thing to discuss. Yeah, evil eye is one of my favorite things because I call it the human thing. I discuss it all the time. The concept of the human thing, right? We share these ideas all over the world across cultures and communities that never had any contact. You still find it. For example, one of the really common ones is red as protective, red threads, right? Wherever we were making stuff, we had red thread. Wherever we were doing it, whether we were dyeing it with carmine, whether we were dyeing it with beets, whether we were dyeing it with iron ochre, like whatever we were doing, we had red and we were like, that's protective. My personal hypothesis, meaning this is not backed by anything, this is my hypothesis, is that one of the reasons that we find red as protective everywhere is because what color is our blood? We may have different communities, different spaces where we live is different, but we look up at the same stars, we look up the same sky, and our blood still bleeds red. Is Kabbalah a part of every Jewish practice or just niche? I think this is an interesting question, and the answer is both. And hold on. So the way how we can answer that is we go back, we're like 1200s, right? Kabbalah is codified, meaning there are writings that are being passed around. It's like this, it has become one thing. Even though there's actually multiple versions of Kabbalah. For example, Isaac Luria had his own ideas, and so his interpretation became Lurianic Kabbalah, right? So we have Kabbalah becomes sort of its own thing, right? We have writings from before that time, but Kabbalistically, it explains so many things. And those ideas, Kabbalah isn't just one thing, right? It's many things. It's many interpretations, many vast areas of discussion. And so I would say that there are very few areas of Judaism that aren't influenced by Kabbalah in some way. For example, right? You've probably all seen the Tree of Life, right? Someone described it as bouncy balls connected by Lincoln logs. Do I have anything to write on? Do I have any notepaper with me? That's unfortunate. What did I do with my papier? I don't have paper. Well, it's a bummer. Okay. I'm saying this as if I can't just pull up my own information. Come on. What's wrong with me? Okay. Why do I have 3,000 tabs? Oh God, I have so many tabs open. Okay, wait, which one? No. Is that it? No. Okay, so I don't know where it is. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you, there's the Tree of Life, right? Each one of those little bubbles is called a sphira. Yeah. In English, you'll see people translate it to the Sephiroth. Right. So the Sphirot represent their divine emanation, and they reflect different aspects of God. Right. And during the counting of the Omer, which is a biblical holiday that is celebrated across Judaism, right? It's the 40-day period that ends on Shavuos, the giving of the Torah. And every day you have the divine emanations represented. That is standard across Judaism, rabbinic Judaism, right? Those sphirot, those emanations, are understood through that Kabbalistic lens, whether or not you actively practice Kabbalah. Because again, Kabbalah is not just a mystical practice, but it's also a framework. So, I think that within it, right, who is actually actively studying and practicing Kabbalah is niche, right? And I say practicing as in implementing its teachings in an everyday aspect and doing rituals that are derived from it. That is niche. But Kabbalistic knowledge has touched every single corner of modern Jewish life, modern Jewish rabbinic life. Wow, I don't know if that answered it, but yeah, Oh my God, just remembered I had a question for you. Basically, I've seen some commentary around how like people should just admit we're polytheists and stop lying to ourselves because naturally humans are animist polytheists. The idea that humans are naturally anything other than curious is not really useful. I think that this notion of any one group is primitive is dangerous and dogmatic in and of itself. And there are people who are dogmatic and dangerous who are monotheists, and there are people who are dangerous and dogmatic who are polytheists. You know, it's a long hexagonal shape with 10 nodes. Are we talking about the Etz Chaim, Tree of Life? Is that what you were saying? Ooh. What is that? Sometimes I get emails and I'm like, how did you even get my email? The things you're emailing me. Ooh, texts, fun. I'm excited about this. Okay. The Jubilee email, that was crazy. I still haven't sent the response. I mean, the deadline passed, so obviously I'm not doing it, and I was never going to do it. But I wanted to send a really strongly worded email back being like, it's obscene that you expect people to do 5 hours of work for $50 in a gas stipend in Los Angeles. That's crazy. That is absolutely bonkers. Ooh, the Reddit atheists are freaky. No offense to the Reddit atheists, except actually many of you are, if it applies, take offense, right? Sort of if the shoe fits, wear it kind of situation. I think that a lot of people have picked up a very, there was so much more work than just, it would have been more work. For me to just sign up to waste their time would be wasting my own time. Whoa. A fat influencer just posted about getting a Jubilee email too. They want her debate look smaxers. Why? By the way, speaking of fat positivity, that kind of thing. So I've been varying weights in my life. And the way that people just want to be fat phobic is crazy. I don't know if y'all know about Samira or have seen the Samira conversation. I just find it so annoying. Like I was about to film a video earlier because I saw a video. Here's the thing. Do I think that there are many influencers who are deeply and wildly out of touch with reality because they live in a bubble absolutely protected and padded by their wealth? Yeah, of course. Of course. And you'll never see me say anything else. You'll never hear me say anything less than that many influencers who reach a level of monetary success become wildly out of touch with reality because their lives become insulated with their constant access to money, their constant access to luxury, and their constant access to, whatever they want through money. And because they are in the public eye, the difference between a true celebrity, so like a movie star, and an influencer is the degree to which they interact with the public without filters. And I don't mean like filters on social media. I mean, many big celebrities who are vastly and wildly wealthy. Let's take a movie star, let's take a movie star, I don't know who, someone, right? Versus an incredibly equally famous, social media influencer. Like, I don't know, Michaela Nogueira, who everyone tells me I look like, by the way. And it's freaking me out a little bit because I don't think we look alike. I think we're just two white women with dark hair and light eyes. But anyway, she's spending $50,000 right now redecorating her makeup room. That amount of money is one, it's people's salaries. That's an entire year's salary, right? She's become wildly out of touch, right? But the difference between her posting on Instagram or her posting a video versus a celebrity doing it is chances are that celebrity has a PR manager. They have an assistant. There's someone to filter through those posts, right? There is a team that's like, don't post that. That's wildly out of touch, right? And we see when that slips. Like remember when Vanessa Hudgens posted that video at the beginning of the pandemic, was like, yeah, some people are going to die, but yeah, she's a makeup influencer. She has a room dedicated to filming content and storing all her makeup because she gets sent obscene amounts of PR, which, by the way, legally, as far as my tax advisor informed me, when you receive gifts, in the business capacity, you have to disclose that. Do you know how many people are not disclosing those gifts? Anyway, so her room dedicated to makeup is being refurbished. She's redoing it for $50,000. Anyway, so the difference between her and them, right, is the level of access between her brain and the phone, right? Her brain and the audience versus a much bigger celebrity who has the filters in place through PR teams, through all of that, right? And so these large but still not uber mega famous people like Samira, right? That's not to say that she doesn't have that's not to say she can't be out of touch with the amount of money she has, right? But she's still right that y'all want to hate fat people. Whether or not you think she's annoying, whether or not you think she's a bad singer, whether or not you think that the way she presents herself is gross, whatever, you can have your opinion, though some of it is very racialized because she's a Black woman. You guys are being weird. You are still proving her right when you leave comments about her body. When you say she can't be right because she can't find panties that fit her, or you say she can't be right because she couldn't fit in an airplane seat. You're just proving her point that you think fat people are wrong. By the way, we have an ad starting in 3 minutes. So I'll just keep chit-chatting. Yeah. But I just think it's crazy because people are like, wow, Samira wants everyone to believe that people are fat phobic. She should try and kill herself. Like, do you not hear yourself? Do you not hear yourself? Whoa, guys. Yeah. The Ozempidemic. That is such a fun word. I don't know. Did you invent that? That's hilarious. The Ozempidemic. That's crazy. By the way, you can tell me in the comments if you've seen this discussion. Maybe you haven't seen it. Maybe this is like coming out of left field. But I think it's really important to discuss because the way that we're seeing the rise of the, as you say, the Ozempidemic, and two, we're seeing just this absolute promotion of thinness, right? And then we are seeing this idea that sorry, it just got really warm in here. Matt Bernstein made a video about clavicular where he discussed what clavicular discussed that Clav does recognize a real problem with the world regarding lookism. Interesting watch. Lookism is an interesting term. People do need to get a grip. People need to get a grip at all times. It's frustrating. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah. And one of the things I've noticed specifically with Samira is the response to her, right? Bavarian Tracht cardigan. I have to show you mine soon. It's very cute. The reality is people they don't want to unlearn because unlearning is an uncomfortable process, right? It's an uncomfortable process. And they feel like fat phobia remains one of the only forms of bigotry accessible to them because they don't want to unlearn. They just want many. And here's the thing, even if people stop being actively bigoted in one way publicly, right? Because they know it's no longer acceptable, right? How many people do we know who present one face on social media and then you see them in public and they're just being completely different, right? They know it's inappropriate. They know it's not, they know it's a quote unquote a cancelable offense. Not that canceling is real, but whatever, right? The reality is people still want to have it. And by the way, yeah, internalization of bigotry is not uncommon. It's not uncommon to see people who are, why is that happening? Why did this happen? What happened? What's Twitch doing? Yeah, homophobia, right? Okay, cool. Sorry, they were telling me something and it scared me really bad. It scared me really bad because I didn't know what was happening. But yeah, there are a lot of people who know that a bigotry is not considered socially acceptable, so they stop doing it in public, not because they believe it's wrong, but because they don't want to face the social backlash for engaging in that behavior. And so when they feel that they have to stop engaging in another behavior, they don't want to do the work to unlearn it, and they don't want to have to do the work to watch themselves. And that's the part that they don't want to deal with. They don't want to do the work to have to watch themselves and make sure that they're not saying something that's going to quote unquote get them canceled, which again, canceling is not real. Okay. It's just not. Yeah. So, okay. It strikes a weird balance because people who are genuinely concerned about somebody's health might want to urge them to make a change, but so many people who use fat phobia as a way to get out of their hateful urge to say that's what they're doing when they actually don't care at all and they just want to bully someone. I'm going to be so honest real quick. There is almost no position. It's so unbelievably rare that the fatness is caused by a health. That you're causing. Well, let me restart. It's incredibly unbelievably rare where the person's body looks the way they do, and their body is causing the problem, and it's not an underlying condition, and it's not an underlying area that needs to be addressed. When you go to someone, you're like, well, I'm just worried about your health. That doesn't do anything. It doesn't help. Unless you can, unless you can actually show up and be like, hey, don't worry, I'll get you access to healthcare, and not just healthcare. Do you know how many times I've been told that I need to lose weight for something that had nothing to do with weight? I was offered Ozempic, I kid you not, at the gynecologist, at the migraine neurologist, not one, but 2 different migraine neurologists. And then I asked, would weight loss help with my migraines? No. They didn't have anything about that. At my primary care physician, at another primary care physician, at the dentist. Yes. And this is the same dentist, by the way, that when I first got my Invisalign, they told me it'll help you stop snacking so much. We had never discussed whether or not I snack. We had never discussed whether or not, I hope the ads weren't too bad, guys. So sorry. I hope the ads weren't that bad. I don't know how many people are back now, but right. When I have knee problems, so I do physical therapy, and I've gone to 3 different, actually, technically it was 4, because the first guy told me that I was too young to have anxiety, despite me being diagnosed with anxiety disorder professionally for about 6 years before him. Told me that he misdiagnosed me and told me I needed to lose weight. This was before the Ozempic, though, so he didn't offer Ozempic. I'm sure he would now. The thing is, unless you can actually be useful to someone, let's say you're worried about someone's health and you think that their fatness is the problem. 1, you don't know what's going on. You don't know their problems. But also, can you actually be helpful? Are you actually going to be able to make a change in their life for their health? Or do you just not want them to be fat anymore? Because the reality is, again, are they going to be able to make a change? Are you going to be able to actually help them? Or are they just going to go to the doctor and be told time and time again, oh, just lose weight? Right. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Can I address the underlying problem if there is one? I don't know. I just get frustrated. Like it's frustrating because Is this a symptom of the American healthcare system? Because I've never known of anyone experiencing Ozempic being pushed on them in my country. Unfortunately, it's not. I mean, it's much more common here. But I know of other friends of mine have gotten it done in Canada, in the UK, and in Australia. And actually, you know what? A friend of mine in Germany mentioned that it was offered to her by a professional. I think it was her gynecologist. Yep. You are correct. And I want to make something very clear. Medical fat phobia kills people. It kills people. Every year I read dozens of stories about people who went to the doctor for a problem and were told to just lose weight and suck it up. And many of them aren't even offered Ozempic or whatever other one GLP there is. They're just told to lose weight, and they're told, right, because it goes back to a very Protestant mindset. You're gluttonous. You're greedy. You can't control yourself. You're lazy, right? All of these things, if you just had some discipline and you didn't, all of those things. And then people die of preventable cancers. They die of heart diseases that they could have had treated if they had bothered to look past just their body. A friend of mine had a massive tumor on their pituitary gland, which you're never going to believe was a big part of the problem. And you know what they told her? It wasn't until she had a car accident that they found it, So it's just, ugh. It just drives me crazy because it's like, you don't actually care about someone's health. Like no one who's ever been like, I'm worried about your health, you should lose weight, to me has actually ever cared about my health. They just don't like seeing a fat person. Non-prescribed weight loss drugs are becoming very popular in the UK, and they're being targeted, especially for women, from what I've gathered. Yes. Do you know what I learned, by the way? I didn't realize this for years. In order to become a nurse injector, in order to inject people with things like filler, Botox, that kind of thing, in the US, I believe you have to be a nurse. You can't just be anyone. In the UK, to become an injector, you just have to take a course. And that course can be a weekend long. Whoa, that changed my perspective on why certain styles of fillers and Botox are more common in the UK than in the US. I had never even considered it before. And then when I realized that, I was like, oh, that makes sense now. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. That was one of the things I ranted and raved about on the internet today because, God, it just upsets me. It's so annoying. And the other thing, people are like, why do you hate skinny people? And it's like, she clearly doesn't hate skinny people. This idea of like, oh, so you hate thin people? I'm going to hold your hand. Not everything's about you, babe. Hating the way that we're treated because your body is seen as inherently better, and not just physically better, right? And people are like, well, I'm attracted to what I'm attracted to. Okay, no one cares what you're attracted to. It's about the way that people moralize body types because they believe that fat equals unhealthy, skinny equals healthy, healthy equals moral, and morality is whether or not you're a good person. I don't know how it's complicated. I genuinely don't understand how people are missing the point. Speaking of, have y'all seen the Jules LeBron situation on TikTok? There's a chance you guys are not on this side of TikTok, in which case, do you want me to enlighten you on the chisme? If you're not a Spanish speaker, the gossip, the discussion, the I don't know another word for it. You have to tell me in the comments because otherwise I'm just going to start talking. Yes, perfect. Thank you. That's all I needed. Just one person to tell me about it. Okay, Jules LeBron very famously made that TikTok a couple years ago that said very demure, very et cetera, right? I'm not familiar with her content outside of that. I don't know her like that. I don't know her. I know she also used to make Bratz doll content. She make makeup content, right? And so she made a ton of money when that whole very demure situation happened. She made a lot of money from it. From what I gather, and I hope you'll correct me if I'm wrong, because there's a chance I am wrong here. She bought a apartment building in Chicago so that her family could have housing. She used all of that money to get her family housing and to stop them from being housing insecure. Now, as far as I also know, she also used that money because she suffered with addiction and dependency. I don't know what. Frankly, I'm not interested in what. But now she is struggling with severe dental issues. For those of you who don't know, in the US, dental insurance is obscenely expensive monthly. Mind you, I am self-employed, so I know how expensive insurance is, dental insurance is, eye insurance. My health insurance costs me more than I want to tell you. It's obscene. And I have chronic illness, so I need to make sure that I have multiple chronic illnesses actually, but I need to make sure I can see my preferred physicians. And it's very expensive. It's crazy. So I know how difficult it is. I had a chipped tooth earlier this year, at the beginning of this year. And for those who don't know, chipped tooth can be quite dangerous if they are going in a place where they can hit the root. It cost me $1,200 with health insurance. Would you like to know what my health insurance sent me back? $63. Yep, that's how much they covered of it. Because they deemed it cosmetic. They said it was actually just cosmetic, and so they weren't going to cover that. So Jules came online and she made a video talking about how she was working with a doctor. Mind you, for those who don't know, Jules is a trans woman of color, and she's also fat. And people treat her like she's all of those things, and that they are the most bigoted bigots on the face of the planet, right? Even when they call themselves leftist, progressive, et cetera, right? So she came on, she was talking about how she did have a deal worked out with her dentist who ghosted her after doing $6,000 worth of, or maybe it was 4,000 points, quite a few thousand on her teeth, because it was going to cost 40,000 in total to get her entire mouth redone and get new teeth, because every single day was painful. Every moment of every day she was in pain. And she came online crying about how she can't do it. And she mentioned how she could get a regular job, but even with a regular job, it probably wouldn't help. And the amount of people jumping on her being like, wow, so you don't want to get a regular job, you just want us to pay you with our regular money? And it's like, she's not holding a gun to your head forcing you to donate. And also, she's right. First of all, I don't know what it's like in every other state in the US, but in California, you don't get on your doctor, the insurance for your employer immediately. You don't just, okay, I got a job on Tuesday, Wednesday, I have health insurance. That's not how it works. First of all, she's in pain every single moment of every single day. And is she the only one? No, of course not. If you are also in pain every single moment of every single day, I'm very sorry. You don't have to give your cold hard cash to her. Like, you have to get the job, which I don't know if you've heard, the housing market's not great. And again, she's a trans woman of color. I don't know if you're familiar with the employment statistics there, but she's not just going to magically get, even if she got a job a month before, there's not a guarantee that she's going to get it. And I don't know about y'all, but with certain enrollment periods, with certain times, you can't, like, you have to wait till the next enrollment period. And I don't know what people are thinking, well, if you got a regular job, you could pay for it immediately. Shalom Aleichem. Willkommen. So it just drives me crazy. Now, again, I don't know Jules. I don't know her. I'm not here to defend her on a personal level. I'm here to defend that her saying me getting a job probably wouldn't help is unfortunately the reality of this country. And the fact that you're getting mad at her for saying that, for being honest, is also annoying, because here's the thing. And I say this, you know, and that's also if the insurance were to cover it, which, by the way, insurance does not like to cover dental things. The amount of times they'll be like, well, all of them are rotting out of your teeth, out of your head. Good luck. Good luck. I'm so happy to have free healthcare in my country. With the illness in my family, the number of times we get sick, we'd be in. Yeah, I'm so grateful that you have it. Honestly, like I'm always so grateful when I hear about people with the success stories of the success stories of government healthcare. And one of the things that gets me, and I'm going to say this knowing that it's going to make me sound weird. And I hope you understand the core of what I'm saying as opposed to the weirdness of how it may sound. The internet doesn't exist without creators. It doesn't exist in the way that we like it without creators, right? We want to have content to watch. Without the people making the content, we don't have anything to watch, right? And if you want to have content creators, the unfortunate reality is, unless you only want the millionaires and billionaires of the world to make content, we do have to find a way to support content creators, right? There are content creators who I love. Many of them, for those who don't know, I have a private account that is for just me, myself, and I. I think I follow like 4,000 people. I have 0 followers and 4,000 following because it's where I go to watch, to be a viewer, to really enjoy myself. I call it my freezer because, okay, you know how there's a burner? You go on your burner to be horrible and leave mean comments. Yeah, I go on my freezer to chill out. It's the freezer. You know, you go there to chill and you go to the burner to be horrible. Now, to be clear, I don't have a burner. I only have my freezer. And the freezer is delightful. I love it on there. It has the best For You page of all time. It's perfectly tailored to all of my favorite content creators. It shows me only perfect, delightful things. And I regularly support those creators there when I can, right? If someone is posting a GoFundMe, I do my best. If I don't have the cash to do a GoFundMe, because guess what? I have my own bills. You know what I do? I sit there, I watch the video, I leave a comment, I press comment, share. I do all those things because they genuinely do help. Leaving a comment. I do love Chinese cooking videos. Are we talking about like a specific genre of like the Lizzie Key type cooking? Because love that. I've been watching Lizzie Key for years. But I also just like enjoyable content, you know? And it's so much more difficult than people realize. Like the way that people think that things translate into money is just completely wild and unreasonable. By the way, I did actually finally get through to a live TikTok agent. Everyone jump up and down. I have been officially removed from the Creator Rewards program on TikTok, and I am no longer eligible because I don't know why. I don't know why they removed me. Man, if only we could figure that out. So I don't make any money on TikTok anymore. The only way I make money is through my commission through TikTok Shop. And, you know, it's kind of a bummer. I hate doing that. There's no lawyering, unfortunately, because it's an at-will program. They can decide who's in it and who's out of it at any point. Remember when a certain billionaire, eventually trillionaire, tried streaming, but it was super boring? Anyway, yeah, the end of an era. I'm still going to make TikTok content because I like making TikTok content. But they don't pay me on there. The only places I get paid, in case you are wondering, are Facebook. That's it. That's the only place that pays me. Actually, you being here in this stream does pay me. Yes, I said at the beginning of the stream, and a lot of you weren't here. Guys, we did it. I made $11. That is $1 per day this month. Okay, there was another question that I got in the chat, but I didn't do it because, by the way, this is the Natural Glow Milk Syrup Earl Grey Glossy and Enhancing Serum Tinted Vegan Nail Care Plus Vegan Formula. That's actually not sponsored. They did send it to me, but I don't have like a coupon code or anything. They just sent it to me. And I have really weak nails, so I'm trying literally everything. And we're doing our best. Where's my thing? Okay, I can't scroll up. Okay, do you have any opinions on the creator Miriam Ezagui? Yeah, I do. I'm not a fan of Miriam's content. I am not a fan of her content for a couple of reasons. I think that her content is very generalizing about Judaism. She's Chabad, and all of her perspectives come from Chabad. And there are many times where she doesn't clarify that. And so she makes it seem like this is all Jews. And even in the subsect of all Orthodox Jews, she is one very specific movement. And her specific movement is not representative of all Jews. It's not representative of even all Orthodox Jews. I also think that her content regarding Israel and Palestine has been atrocious. And I think that the way she responds to criticism is horrendous. And like many Zionist Jews, she promotes horrific atrocities being enacted against Palestinian people. And they do it in the name of Jewish safety. Yeah. Oh, there's a hand waving. Oh my God. Okay. Sorry, there was another comment over here that I just realized I missed. Okay. Where do I draw the line between religiosity and religious fundamentalism? Right. I think this is a really interesting question. Where do I draw the line? I think that religious fundamentalism requires a level of conservatism, and it relies on a level of stagnation. And we see this across different religious communities, whether they're Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, right? We see this across communities where we see religious fundamentalism requires a level of stagnation and inability or unwillingness to change and grow. Religiosity and this idea of being religious, I think we still draw from a very Christian perspective. Lennon Moomin, welcome. Subscribed. Miriam met with Netanyahu. Yikes. I don't even think I knew that. Ugh. Chas v'shalom. My good Lord. Ooh. Here's the thing. I never followed Miriam. I never liked Miriam. Same with, who's that other content creator? Melinda Strauss, who wrapped herself in a American flag and said Amisha Beirach for Trump. Mind you, I have a screenshot of that from literally from 2020 because someone messaged me. I remember someone messaged me and they asked me about her years and years and years and years ago. And I was like, no. Kiss, Marry, Kill. No, I'm not doing that. I don't believe in forcing myself to do horrible things like that. So I'm not going to. Yeah, here. Jewish prayer for Donald Trump. Who could have seen that coming? Man. Yeah. Oh, you're so kind. Even if you can't keep subscribing, I appreciate you taking the jump. Yeah. Ugh, I can't stop thinking about how yucky that is. Kiss, Marry, Kill. I also hate doing those games. Not mad at you for asking. Those games always were bad at it because I was like, why do I have to do this? Ooh, meteor shower. Maybe I'll have to go outside. But the mosquitoes have been so terrible. Do you all also have the worst mosquitoes ever where you are? Los Angeles has so many terrible mosquitoes. It's awful. We have a type of mosquito that is not native to our part of California. They're originally native to Southwest Asia, actually Southeast Asia. I'm sorry, Southeast Asia. And they are also known as ankle biters because they attack your ankles so bad. I currently have an ungodly amount of mosquito bites because of how horrible it is. And that is with DEET. And when sometimes people are like, oh, the non-chemicals, give me the chemicals, actually. Give me the chemicals. Give me extra. I want extra chemical, actually. Oh my God. Welcome. Mazel tov. Congratulations. Did you already do the day or is it coming later today? Tell me. That's so exciting. We have West Nile virus mosquitoes. Chas v'shalom. Ay, ay, ay. Ooh. I really don't like a lot of Chabad influencers because they always say in Judaism, and then it's specifically a Chabad perspective. And a lot of people who make content like, I live with Orthodox Jews for a day type stuff. And again, it's just Chabad presented as what all Orthodox believe. That is unfortunately very common. It's very common. And it's something that I actually fell prey to because, as you guys know, I attended Chabad growing up. And so a lot of the things I learned were through a Chabad lens. And then I was like, oh. And like there are certain things, obviously, my family did that weren't Chabad. For example, you guys might not know this. Okay, well, Mazel Tov on your first shift. But for those who don't know it, ooh, my nails are still wet and I'm itchy. In Chabad, it's very common, it's a tradition not to decorate your sukkah. For those of you who don't know, we have a holiday coming up this year, one of my favorite holidays, which is Sukkot, or as it's called in English, something I've never understood, the Feast of Tabernacles. Never going to call it that. That's crazy. And so we build a sukkah, we build a temporary structure in our backyard, a lot of rules about it, blah, 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 blah. The sukkah, I grew up with one decorated beautifully. We decorated every single year. We'd hang leaves and branches because you cover the top in natural coverings. You can use any kind of, you can use like a bamboo mat is very common. Palm fronds, what I grew up using. And we would decorate it with vines, with tea lights, and with it would be beautiful. In Chabad, you don't do that. You don't decorate. And that's a Chabad custom. It's not a custom anywhere else. Actually, I don't know about that. There might be other places that do it, but it's not a everywhere custom. And I remember asking my Rebbitzin years ago about why they don't decorate. And they say, well, we don't decorate. And I had to be like, who's we? And then she was like, oh yeah, it's Chabad that don't decorate. I'm so excited. I think I might film my sukkah this year. I might film my decoration for my sukkah because I'm very, very excited. This is the first year where I've felt sort of comfortable hosting. So I cannot wait. I just can't wait. I'm so excited. I love hosting. I love the sukkah. And I'm so excited to plug in my Mega Mosquito Zapper 3000. Okay. I have one of those scary ones that hangs outside and it's got a giant blue light. And they're like, we're going to the light. And then they get zapped to death. You are an invasive, horrible cow. I don't want you near me. I don't like those mosquitoes. They're terrible. Unfortunately, they're awful. Whew. Sorry, I got really heated there for a second. I can hear my partner doing the dishes in the kitchen. What a sweetie. Thank God. I don't want to do them. Whoa, sorry. Someone asked me something. What do you think about Moses and Tzipora? I'm not a fan personally. I think that they make the similar content to Miriam. What do you about that old set of atheist debate bros who became famous in the early 2010s? I don't know who we're talking about, unfortunately. Now that we're talking about Orthodox content creators, I want to mention there's a Satmar Chassid called Avraham Schwartz who makes travel vlogs in Yiddish. It's very interesting. This response is so funny. In case you don't, why can't I pin it? Nope. Show on stream. Why is it not showing up? Okay, in case you don't understand, Moses obviously saved the Jews, but there's a story about how Moses and Tzipora had a kid, and then they're going back to Egypt. So as they're traveling, the angel of death comes by and goes, "You did not circumcise your kid." And so Tzipora reaches down and grabs a rock, and she quickly snips the tip off her kid to save Moses from getting killed by the angel of death. Here's the fun bit. Hold on. The rabbis read that story, and they were like, actually, Moses didn't just almost get killed. It's actually that the angel of death swallowed him up until the place where he was circumcised. So picture it, sort of like a python eating all of Moses just to his tip. The only thing sticking out is the tip because that's where he was circumcised. And then what Tzipora did is she took the foreskin and she put it down at the feet of the angel and was like, I did it. Anyway, really fun story. Love that story. Jewish tradition is hilarious. Why do we sing our prayers? That's actually a question I don't have an answer to, because there are different reasons. Some people say it's because it's nice. It's also an easier way to memorize things. It's easier to memorize a song than a whole paragraph. And some people say there's a mystical component to it. Sam Harris and Richard Dawkins et al. Right. Gross. Hate it. I'd like to ask about other Jewish content creators, but I only know the aforementioned and a guy called Falmer. He's a good food content creator, makes all this video about how great Israel is. Never seen him. Here's the thing. I want to be clear. I don't like a lot of content creators because we don't align politically. And the Jewish ones, it just happens once to be that I know about them because the algorithm went, oh, Jews, here are some Jews, right? There are a lot of Jewish content creators that I've never heard of. Don't have any opinion on them. And there are also Jewish content creators that I've seen their videos and I felt really upset about them because I feel that they are just kidding, it's the ad time. All right, well, I guess it's just us, YouTube, and subscribers. Right, so I just want to say that, I want to be clear. I don't want anyone to send any hate on my behalf. This isn't like, oh, go attack them, chas v'shalom. I don't condone that. I want to make it clear. I don't believe in sending hate because, one, I don't think it's a good thing to do. First and foremost, it's not a good thing to do. Second of all, I don't think it's an effective thing to do. So it's not going to get your message across, and it's not going to be good, right? Oh no, that's horrible. Oh my. Those mosquito bites are horrible. Yeah. And just because I don't like a content creator doesn't mean that I condone anyone going and saying anything, especially not on my behalf, because that would be absolutely against me. What was I saying? Are there any other non-rabbinical Jews other than Karaites and Beta Israel? I'm going to double check what I'm about to say because I don't want to be rude. I don't want to be wrong. And I believe in the fact checking. Ooh. I believe it is only Karaite. I believe it is. Yeah, it's really funny. Dan McClellan actually started following me back in 2021, I think. So we've been mutuals for a long time. I like a lot of Dan McClellan's content. I think a lot of it is really good. I think he does a lot of good scholarship. I also think that one of the things I appreciate about Dan is that he can acknowledge when he's wrong. And there are also some things I'm not a huge fan of about his content. For example, I wrote an article that was published on Lilith.org about Lilith, the origins of Lilith, sort of tracing her through history and, the Jewish tradition, the Sumerian tradition, where she comes from, and the misinformation that really stems about her. And I mentioned how even biblical scholars, PhDs like Dan, get certain things wrong. It was funny because I know someone who worked with Dan, and they're like, I sent that article to him, and I'm like, hope he's cool with being called out for that. Do I have any thoughts on Messianic Jews? Messianic Jews are not Jews. I'm going to say something really controversial. So Messianic Jews are not Jews because Messianic Judaism is Protestantism. It's not Jewish. It was never Jewish. It was always Protestant. There's a desire to sort of retcon Jewishness into Messianic Judaism, but it's simply untrue. There's a really good article about it. It's actually not an article. Let's see if I can find it. Am I just tippy typing? Hope no one hates it. Let's see if I can share screen. Share screen. Okay, Linktree. This, by the way, the article. This is my website where you can also shop. Gaza Soup Kitchen, really great to donate. Here's a lecture that I did. It is as cheap as $9. This is supporting Thayer and his family in Gaza. This is learning about blah, 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 blah. Where did it go? Messianic Christians info. So this person who wrote it was born and raised No. Chas v'shalom, what happened? Web archive unavailable. Mamma mia, no. Chas v'shalom, are you kidding me? I can't believe this. This is the worst day of my life. By the way, I mentioned this to someone, and they were like, wow, this is the worst day of your life. You must be really lucky. And I love to say that, yes, I'm very grateful to be able to say that this is the worst day of my life because, one, it's not true. But also, one day this will have been, like, I'm really hoping that I can, Wikipedia, right, perfect, love it, that I can live a life where this is the worst day of my life. Like, that's what I want. Okay, someone asked a question. What was the difference between? Nope, there's another question. What's the difference between rabbinical and non-rabbinical Judaism? So rabbinical Judaism is the idea of after the destruction of the temple, we had to have rabbis step in as leaders because we no longer had the high priests. And non-rabbinical Judaism doesn't accept rabbinic leadership. So, for example, they don't listen. They're non-Talmud. They don't follow the Talmuds. They don't follow the writings of those sages. So it's all pre that. Okay, so let's see if I can pull it up. Messianic Judaism is a syncretic Protestant Christian religious sect. It considers itself part of Jewish history because, let's go back to where's the history part? Okay, where is it? History, there we go. So, while this part is true, and I think it's important that we acknowledge it. Now, the problem is, I don't know if you can see this. This says pre-19th century, and then it goes first century. And then down here, 19th and 20th. I'm sorry, what was the other 18 centuries? What was happening during those other 18 centuries, guys? I wonder. So the reality is the first Christians were Jews. Yep. And then they were like, damn, these Jews do not want, well, they were Israelites, whatever. They were early first century Jews, right? They were like, damn, this sucks. We're not doing a good job, which is why, by the way, that's why they changed a lot of the laws. Like, for example, snipping the tip. They were like, okay, it's so hard to get you to convert to our religion. You don't have to cut off the tip of your penis anymore. You don't have to. We can't see anything. Oh, that's on me, guys. Guys. Chaotic Gremlin 27, you are a doll, a deer, and an angel. Thank you so much for telling me. Okay. We are on the page for Messianic Judaism on Wikipedia, which, by the way, if you haven't started editing Wikipedia, get on it immediately. This is pre-19th century, and then it goes first century, 19th and 20th. Where were the other 18 centuries? What's going on there, right? So there were times where Jews did try and attempt to convert other Jews, especially during times of persecution, but there was no active Jewish tradition, meaning there were no people who actively kept Jewish tradition as Christians in a widespread or documented manner. It was not a thing. There were individual families, there were individual cases, and there were, very interestingly, cases of conversos, people who were forced to convert to Judaism who kept traditions alive. For example, my partner is Mexican. And one of the traditions that is very common in his family, you bake bread every Friday, you light 2 prayer and saint candles, and you never eat bloody eggs. Eggs that have blood in them in any kind, you never eat them. You're never going to believe what all those traditions are. All of those are Jewish. There are people who have discovered through their lineage, through their family recipes and traditions, oh my God, they had Jewish family who were forced to convert to Catholicism, right? But there was not a widespread documented history of Jews who called themselves Jewish Christians. There just wasn't. It just wasn't a thing. But then, Anglican London Society for Promoting Christianity Among Jews. Right. Okay. Then, Hebrew Christian Alliance of Great Britain. Right. Okay. Hebrew Christian movement. These are all Christians just trying to convert Jews. Israelites of the New Covenant, right? Can't imagine when that's happening. Now, there was a congregation that they converted to Christianity, right? And they call themselves Chosen People Ministries. Here's the thing. Uh-oh. 1960s. That was the early 1800s, right? Or late 1800s. In the 60s, what did they start doing? They started changing their names. Like, for example, the Hebrew Christian Alliance of America became the Messianic Jewish Alliance of America. And even though some of them did have Jewish roots, as in Jewish ancestry, they were not Jewish. They were Christians. They were, maybe your grandma converted to Christianity, and then your mom married another Christian guy, and you two were also raised Christian. You are no longer Jewish. You absolutely have Jewish roots. You absolutely have Jewish ancestry. But what you believe and what you do is not Jewish. It's still Christian because it's Christianity. And so one of the things I really said about why this whole the article that I wanted to read you went away is because it documents how Messianics go very far into faking Jewish history and Jewish ancestry, because they like the idea of claiming that, oh no, that you can't be converted to Judaism, which is just shenanigans, whatever, you made that up. But also the idea that people who have Jewish roots are more authentic than the other people. And so they'll go in and fake their own history to say that they had Jewish family and that they have Jewish parents, grandparents, or great-grandparents, right? It's a lot. And then you can see this is the Messianic seal, which has the Magen David, the menorah, Magen David, and the fish. Unfortunately, I do see this worn by a lot of people who think that this is just the fish of protection. No, they mean this as the Jesus fish. Also, this one's crazy. The dolphin. What the hell? Where did the dolphin come from? That's crazy. Anyway, it's not good. It's not good. Reception. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't do well. Yeah, they don't do well. Yeah, he's not running a Jewish synagogue. It's a church designed to appear as if it were a synagogue, and I'm there to expose him. It's like how there were Messianics in Ukraine during the first part of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, offering to evacuate Jews contingent upon whether or not they would convert and like become Messianic. Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird one. It's, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that's the fun part. That was a fun discussion. Nope, I don't want that. What the hell is... Oh, yeah. Okay. There's a difference between animal blood and human blood. That's true. Jesus' sacrifice was self-giving. And the blood isn't literal in the Eucharist for me and for many. That's true. Not for many, but for a lot of others, it is the literal blood and body of Christ. I think you should ask Rabbi Andy about that one. That's a good one to ask him. I think it's a really interesting conversation theologically and also sociologically, though Andy and I have differing views at times. And that's okay. We can have differing views on certain things. Esoteric stuff can be trippy. Yes, absolutely. I have many books on Jewish esoteric mysticism. It's one of the things I talk about a lot. By the way, if you don't know, I did an interview with Rabbi Andrew Kahn, who is the leader for the American Council for Judaism, which is it's a legacy anti-Zionist Jewish organization that has been around since the 1940s. And Rabbi Andy, who we've been mutuals for like a decade now, recently he took it over, and there's all these really fun, interesting things. I linked an article just now in the comments if you want to favorite that and save it. It's a really good thing to read because it's about, actually, maybe I'll just do it. Maybe I'll just pull it up. It'll be fun. Why not? Just kidding. Apparently I can't. Okay, we're doing it. We're doing it. If you have to pee, now is the time because I'm about to start ranting and raving. Okay, a slow-moving coup, Zionism's authoritarian takeover of Reform Judaism. By the way, I want to say this before I get started. First of all, I'm so sorry. I do have to move y'all so I can be in the center. Love to the Reform girlies. I'm not Reformed, never been Reformed. One thing I cannot deal with, Reform taluses. Why is it so small? Goat lurker. Welcome. All I can think about, by the way, when I saw your username is chupacabras. And specifically the episode of Bones where they debunk that was a chupacabra. Okay. What was I saying? Ding dong. This one. Why is the Reform talus so small? I hate it. I'm so sorry. It's my deeply held belief that I think it's ugly. I'm sorry. I just think it's ugly. Also, I think that wire kippas are ugly. I've yet to see one that I think is beautiful. And there are some really cool ones. Like I've seen a really cool one that looked more like a snood with chain, but the wire ones, I just can't get behind it. Okay. I want to talk about this real quick because I think it's really interesting. Reform Judaism. I'm going to have to take this off the screen for a sec. What just happened? Just so it looks a little cleaner. Hide. Okay, there we go. Reform Judaism is currently incredibly Zionist, but it didn't used to be like that. Reform Judaism did not used to be Zionist. Yet, guys, the Reform talus is tiny. I have to show you. We have to look at this together. Sorry. We're going to take just the tiniest detour into the Reform talus. Do you see how thin that is? This is a regular talus. Actually, I'll look at a better one. This is a regular talus. See that? Full cape, covering head to, right? Full cape, regular. This is a Reform talus. What are we wearing? A scarf? Again, Reform talus. It's like 3 inches wide. Look at this. Look. Reform talus. Tiny. Look at this one. Tiny. Well, it's not supposed to be anything. This is the traditional way of wearing a talus. This is a traditional talus. Because that's how we get married under a chuppah with the talus. What are you going to get married? What am I, 3 inches wide? Should we call Bella Hadid? Should we invite Bella Hadid? That's how skinny I am? No. And like, I remember the first time I was like, what is happening? Why is he wearing a scarf? Like, look at this. Look how skinny they are. I'm sorry. I think they're ugly. I apologize. That's not to say you can't have like a beautiful, whatever. But like, I like a full, like, look at this big old full talus. All right. And then you get the Reform one and it's like 2 inches wide. It's a scarf. Versus look at this big, lovely giant talus. No, unfortunately, Reform Judaism is incredibly Zionist because of this history here. So Reform Judaism was not originally Zionist. And it's actually a really interesting history. So Recharting Reform Judaism had a conference and it passed a resolution demanding that HUCJIR, which is the seminary of the Reform movement, stop admitting and ordaining anti-Zionists, which is crazy because Reform Judaism was originally anti-Zionist. So, the continuation of a decades-long project of authoritarian, anti-democratic takeover within the institutions of the Reform movement in the pursuit of one family's personal crusade. Rabbi Amiel Hirsch, who convened the gathering, is the son of Rabbi Richard Hirsch, who dedicated his rabbinate to tying the Reform movement to the Zionist project. The elder Hirsch set the Joint Commission of Israel in motion after 1967, pushing the movement into the World Zionist Organization and moving the world. You know, if you're going to be rude, I am just going to block you. If you're going to call me a moron, I will just block you. Anyway, let me see, blah, blah, blah. By 2001, only a fifth of self-identified Reform Jews felt strongly attached to Israel. A poll released 2026, with clear majority of non-Orthodox Jews over 35 support a binational state. Support for one state among Jewish adults has nearly doubled in 2 years. In the Jewish Federation's own data, only 7% of American Jews now call themselves Zionists, right? The Reform movement's original turn towards Zionism, which predates the Hirsch family crusade by 2 decades, was an engineered anti-democratic putsch. It did not reflect a popular movement for change from within the memberships, but instead was organized by outnumbered groups seeking to force the movement to accept Zionism despite its unpopularity. I'm sorry, it's actually said in spite. When the Central Conference of American Rabbis voted on the Columbus Platform in 1937, which committed the organization to building Palestine as a Jewish homeland and reversed the Pittsburgh Platform's rejection of Jewish nationhood, it carried only the tie-breaking vote of one Zionist president. Do you hear that? I just want to make it clear. It was a tie, and it was the leader who broke the tie, which, remember, that does not mean that is a majority by one person. It was absolutely not, it was not, I think he meant without. Okay, so remember, there was the original, seminary. And then when the seminary became too Zionist, yep, look. Yep. Anyway, it's crazy, and I think it's a really good article, and I did an interview with him. It's really fun if you want to go watch it or listen to it. Wow, it's 7:30. I've been here for an hour and 37 minutes. What are y'all up to other than watching this? Are we talking have fun? Yeah, they did skip that point. No clue. Couldn't tell you why. No clue. Don't know. Mazel! Congratulations. Groceries Cosmos is here. Pixel sticker art. Incredible. Progressing on the cardigan sleeves. Genius. By the way, I want to show you something really cute. Look at my little tiny dish. Isn't it adorable? It's technically for oysters, but I don't eat oysters, so it's now for jewelry. Putting my earrings on it. Yeah, they don't really like that. It's so funny. Can I be honest? There are certain people there are a couple Zionist accounts on Instagram. I have them restricted, which means they can comment, but no one can see it until I choose to unrestrict them. When I tell you they are my biggest fans, they show up in my comment section more than anyone else, okay? They are guaranteed to leave a more than 6-word comment. They are guaranteed to show up. It's great. It's so nice. I mean, it's awful because they're horrible and they're leaving really mean comments, calling me every name in the book. But can I be honest? They show up for me more than people who claim to be my fan, which, by the way, I don't like the concept of that, but I do think it's really funny. I think it's quite funny. And by the way, someone had a question about Tracht. This is a really good book. It cost a bajillion dollars. But this is a book about different regional styles of tracht. I hope you can still see it, even though I have to lean it on the table. Okay. So all of the little black dots are different tracht areas. Yeah, as long as they're pushing me to the algorithm, right? They leave comments. They engage with other comments. They respond. They leave like eight word long comments. I mean, they'll be like, "How dare you? Do you think you're a real Jew? You're an awful, horrible person." And I'm like, look at you using bigger words in the algorithm. I love journaling, but I don't keep that many journaling supplies at the store. The only thing I have is washi tape, but I don't have a ton, simply because it's incredible. You have to buy it in such bulk and you need so much of it. And I just don't have that much space in the physical store. Okay. Let's go to a fun area. Let's see. So here we have one. So this one comes with incredible braids. Do you see those braids? Stunning. So this is from Thüringer. It's a funky outfit. Funky, fresh outfits. This book is Traditional Couture. It's a really, really good one. It's definitely quite hard. It's also hard if you don't speak German, but if you email the local folk societies in the region where they're from, that can help. Look at this one. Look at this one. This is not my family's one, but like, look how fun this is. Wow, look at that big old hat. This is why I get so annoyed when people are like, "Well, Germans don't have any culture." By the way, I want to be clear. A lot of these folk costumes were invented. Many of them weren't naturally occurring. There are aspects of them that aren't naturally occurring. But this isn't it. So this one is Glöttertaler from Schwarzwald in the Black Forest. This one's quite fun. Little outfits. Those hats are they're very funky, funky. Let's see. Okay, this one's fun. This is the Bollenhut. This one, look at those big old wool balls. And they're quite heavy. Yeah, Thüringer is the one from earlier. And look at this little one. She's so precious. And they have these very fuzzy socks. Do you see that? It's like goat feet. It's incredible. Bollenhut. Schwenninger. That one, this hat is quite something. I mean, come on. I feel like I could see Zendaya wearing this. Like, yes, Interstellar Isabella is great. I actually want to collab with them on another video about the history. St. Georg, a Schwelmer, they inspired a lot of the Brothers Grimm. They have a big skirt. This one's from the Hessian region. This is just a house. Yes. How many languages do I speak? Varying levels of fluency and understanding. English, obviously, German, Spanish, Hebrew, and Yiddish. But like when I say varying levels, I mean it. So this one's from Dachau. This is the Dachauer Tracht. Like, look how fun. I love this book so much. It's so beautiful. Which is a really good one. It's a great one. It was very expensive, but honestly, well worth it. It's one of my favorite coffee table books. It just has so much beautiful art in it. It's just so cool looking. When I say we just had some bonkers things, like look at this one. Yes, look at that hat. I wish I wore more hats. I'm just not a huge hat person. Maybe I should get into hats. Like maybe that's gonna be my next thing. Yeah. Ugh. Oh, good Lord. Why do we as Jews love pearls? Because they're pretty. They're pretty, and also they're important to us. There's lines in the Bible about it, obviously. And then also, we had access to them through varying different Jewish trade routes. So we had them. And we have like the Sterntichel, which was loved to put a pearl on it. By the way, speaking of pearls, I don't know, maybe that's why you said it, but I wear this one. These are fake. Yeah. I wish we could dress in flamboyant colors without question these days. Yeah. To be fair, I live in Los Angeles, so I'm kind of can really do whatever. No one really cares. But it was really fun. I went to a party with friends a couple of years ago that was hosted at a bar, and I went into the wrong bar, and I'm like wearing full tracht, schwarz. I'm wearing a black shirt, black dirndl, wearing my apron, and I like went into the wrong bar, and everyone was like, and then no one cared anymore. Oh, sorry. There's a question. There's a question, but I'm missing it. So there's whoever responded to Duncan. If you could let me know. I don't know what the question was because I don't see it. I'm gonna try and spin Dyson Walton. And I cannot wait to see it. I can't wait to see it. Oh no. Oh no. All right. Love that. Do you see God as being monotheistic or pantheistic? It's a good question. Let me respond to this text, and then I will do it. I think that we can, I'm going to say something confusing and annoying. I think that God can be both. Pantheistic in the sense that God is one, right? And we have this idea, right, in Kabbalah as Ein Sof, without end. So, God, and, we say, every day we say Shema Yisrael, Adonai Echad, right? God is one. And then we have the concept of Ein Sof, without end. And we have this concept of divine sparks, right? So we have this notion of God is everything. God comes in every form in all things, right? And I think that we also have this idea of God as one. And that is, I think, how we as humans can understand a universe that is so vast. And I mean, obviously, it's a difference between my personal perspective and what it is as a critical scholar, like critical scholarship versus personal belief systems. I think those are two different things. And I think it's very important that I make it clear when I give my personal opinion, as opposed to a scholarly one. Because in a scholarly perspective, we have a variety of perspectives on God, right? Monotheistic, henotheistic, pantheistic, all of those are accurate at different times and in different places, and to look at different things, right? We know that the ancient world was pantheistic. We know, I'm sorry, not pantheistic, wrong word, henotheistic, right? Or monolatrous, right? The idea that they understood that there were other gods being worshipped. They just didn't believe them. They didn't believe in them necessarily, right? I need to send this text. Everyone appreciate the tippy typing. Thank you. I appreciate it. And first time chat. What a great first chat. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I think that it's blue and white. This idea of like of religions having colors, the color schemes, if you will, is quite new. Blue and white are both important colors in Judaism, but we also have other colors that are important, right? Love red. Red is a very important color. But white and blue are definitely important. Blue because of Techelet, right? This idea, this sacred pigment that was used historically. It's the color of divinity. It's the discoverer of the color of the endless ocean and the endless sky, and it represents the divineness. And white represents purity. It represents this idea of being as close as we can to angels, right? That's where that comes from. And so we have all those things, but putting blue and white together to make Jew is quite new. Yeah. It's all about the marketing, and I don't know how we're going to change. I don't know what we're going to do with that. Like we've had blue and white talises or talitot, depending on what you're going to say, for years. I mean, literally 1,000 years. So we've got that down. Though I will say, Islam's marketing, the green and gold, that's so good. By the way, in case you're wondering, speaking of like marketing, I refuse. I did it last year and I'll do it again this year. And I've done it honestly for the last like 6 years. No silver in my Hanukkah. Ugh. Are certain colors considered more modest? Yes, but it does vary depending on the community. Oftentimes, the darker the colors, like black, dark brown, dark blue, dark gray, which is not the same as black, okay? Often considered more modest, but it depends on the community. I had someone tell me recently, they're like, I didn't even realize you dressed modestly. And I was like, have you ever seen my elbow? No. And that's actually funny because I experimented with wearing like a long t-shirt and it came to just about my elbow. And at one point I was like doing something and my elbow was exposed and I was like, oh my God, I have a bunch of, I will wear dress. I wear skirts and dresses that show my, like, I would say around my knee to below it. But I was wearing them the other day and I got mosquito bites. My partner was like, see, that's what you get for going outside with your ankles showing. And I was like, damn it. Do I like tomatoes? Man, I wonder if I like tomatoes. I do. I love tomatoes. I love tomatoes. Yeah, how scandalous. My elbow's showing. Oh my God. Wow. Yeah. Speaking of, someone asked me recently if they can see, what was it? It's my Pinterest. Yes, it was one tab of my Pinterest. I have one tab that is, I call it, it's Traumkleidung, dream clothing. It's not just clothes that I dream of wearing in real life, but it's also clothes that I would be wearing in a dream. And if I had the money, I would do this so fast. I would buy these things so fast. Monotheism, the concept of a singular deity, predates Judaism because we're not the first monotheists. So I would say we're good at it, but we weren't the first. Like, look at this dress. Are you kidding me? This one, I looked at this one today. Is this not so dreamy? Look at those big old collars. This one, oh my God, I would wear this in an instant. Even though I don't even like yellow, I'd wear this with like a cute little, it's a sleeveless one, so I'd wear a shirt under it. Look at this one. Are you joking? Shut up. This one, oh, if I had money for this, are you kidding me? Obviously, you're seeing a popular silhouette. Okay, I like a big collar and I love a funky little dress. Is Joopy still here? Joopy is still here. Okay, and Joopy's doing great. In case you're wondering, this is Snoopy. I love Snoopy. He's the one character I go crazy for. I don't go crazy. I'm very particular about my Snoopies. I just like him. And my friend gave me this one for my birthday. And he has a hat on, and his hat has Pegasus. So he's Jewish Snoopy or Joopy. You're right. I did move him because I lit a candle and I didn't want him to get harmed. I'll put him back over here. Okay, there we go. I don't know. Can you see him? Can you see him? No, you can't. Well, he's there. I promise. He's right there. Maybe you can't. I don't know. Puffed sleeves. I just love the puffed sleeves. I love a giant sleeve and I love a giant collar. Okay. Look at this. $108 for pajamas. Spinstu. Are you kidding me? Characters that I believe are Jewish and or give Jewish vibes. Ooh, I'm trying to think. What characters do I think are Jewish? Obviously, Snoopy is Jewish. I think it's important. Snoopy is Jewish. You can see him. He's right there. He's behind the mic. Oh, if you're watching on in portrait mode, you cannot see him. But Snoopy is Jewish. By the way, if you're watching on TikTok, I cannot see your comments. So you will have to come to Twitch or YouTube. I think Snoopy's Jewish, and I'm trying to think of literally any other character. If you have some in the comments, tell me. I literally cannot think of a single character now that you've mentioned it. The answer is no, because my head is empty in that regards, which is not a phrase I think I've ever said before about myself. 100 new achievements on your story. What happened to my story? Oh, yeah, that. Today, by the way, I was at work and the Wi-Fi gave out and it was horrible. Tina Belcher would make a great Jew. Unfortunately, that's so true. Not unfortunately, but yeah. I do love Bob's Burgers. I think Bob's Burgers is delightful. Who the hell is this? One of the interesting things about the new Meta platform is that it allows anyone to get verified, which is great because I think verification is important for people who, aren't who they say they are. But it's great for me personally because that means that, I don't have to deal with people impersonating me. But it also means that anyone can just be verified and my notifications are clogged with the verification things that it automatically boost them to more important in the notification ranking. And you'd be like, I don't know who this person is. I'll click on their page. I'm like, I don't know them because they have 500 followers and I've never seen them before. Ew, no, that's gross. Yeah. Do you play video games? I actually do play some video games. Not a lot, but I play some. Comment episodes, Koji Core episode. I think. Who else do I think is Jewish? Oh, I recently started watching True Blood. Years behind the curve on this one, guys. So behind, it's crazy. Just started watching True Blood. When I tell you, I'm not a Puritan, okay? There's a lot of things about me that maybe some people don't expect, but I'm from Los Angeles, okay? I'm very familiar with lots of things. I'm not squeamish. I'm not conservative. I'm not puritanical, whatever, right? When I tell you the way that they portray, let's call it physical intimacy on that show, whoa, I need to know who was the coordinator for that because I don't think they've ever witnessed or taken part in those particular acts because that's not how human bodies move. That was crazy. That show is insane. Every moment of it has been hilarious so far. Full on bonkers. The name Sookie, I've never experienced it outside of Gilmore Girls, but that was Suki. Anyway, if I play Mario Kart, I'm god awful at Mario Kart. I'm so bad at Mario Kart. It's comedic. I didn't grow up with TV. I didn't grow up with playing games. So I prefer to game on computer as opposed to console. And you put a console thing in my hand, even with Wii, okay? I'm bad at it. Even with, what's the other one? Switch, I'm terrible at it. I'm god awful at it. I play as either Bones Yoshi or one of the princesses, usually. It's really bad. Do I play Stardew? I do play Stardew. I haven't played it in quite a while. But I do love Stardew Valley. By the way, that's a character. Here it is. My headcanon is that Leia or Leah is a Jew. Leia, that's the Jew right there. We have our token Jew in the town, and she's a funky artist. That's a Jewish woman, if I ever knew one. And if you disagree, that's fine. Just know that you're wrong and I'm right. What else? I'm trying to think of any other shows that I watch. I'm like, headcanon, you're Jewish. It's hard because a lot of the shows I watch either include Jews or include religion in some way. So it's kind of hard to headcanon them because, you know. One of my favorite Jewish characters of all time, Christina Yang of Grey's Anatomy fame, one of my favorite television shows of all time. It's what I like to call a garbage show in the sense that it is garbage and it is a show. You've got Ocho Candelicas stuck in your head? Is Superman Jewish? Are we talking seriously or are we talking conceptually? By the way, when I found out that other people can't do this just like off the rip, I was so confused because I thought we all learned how to do this as kids. Can y'all do this? And if you're not trying to do it right now, Robin Williams, yeah, makes sense. Oh, there's so many things I've missed in the chat. What's going on? No, people can't do this off the rip. They like. By the way, in case you don't know, if you're familiar, this is the hand symbol that was used in Star Trek, right? The Vulcan hand symbol. And where he got it from, Leonard Nimoy, was Jewish. And so they told him to come up with a hand symbol to be the greeting. And he remembers being a kid and being in synagogue. And this is something that we do there's something called the Birkat HaKohanim, which is the prayer of the high priest, the prayer of the Kohens. And we say this a lot. We say it on Friday nights. We say it multiple times. But when it's given by a Kohen, which is a patrilineal descent, so if your father's father was a Kohen, if your father was a Kohen, and his father was a Kohen, right? It goes all the way back. They say a bracha, and what you're supposed to be is you're standing normally with your father or with the man of your household, and they cover with their talis. Remember those big talitot with I don't understand why the reform ones are so small, right? And they cover and they lift the talis with their hands, and they recite the bracha with their hands doing this. This is holding out, and it's to indicate who the Kohen is, right? Who's giving this bracha. And he looked up as a kid, and he looked up at the Kohen, and he saw him doing this hand symbol. So when he went on the show, he did this. And that's how it got introduced into the show, which is really funny because that means that I can buy a bunch of random things that have this on it, and they're selling it as Star Trek merch, and I'm buying it as Jewish merch. You know, not the same. Your grandmother dated William Shatner in college. All right, there we go. Yeah, rewatching Grey's is always good, except for some of those episodes which are terrible. You know, they're called stoles. You are correct; they do look like a stole. There are a lot of things, and I talk about this with Rabbi Andy in that interview I did. Which, by the way, the concept of calling someone rabbi and then their first name always makes me go like, even though I've done it my whole life, like my rabbi, like let's pretend his name is like Benjamin, would be like Rabbi Benji, like Rabbi Benjamin, but like somehow it still makes me, you know. Also, a friend of mine who like I grew up with, she's married with kids now, and so she's a Rebbitzin. So people will talk to her and be like, Rebbitzin, and I'm like, that's her mother. Her mother is the Rebbitzin. What are you talking about? Have I watched Long Story Short on Netflix? No. What is that? Which one is that one? Which one is that one? Can someone tell me? Long Story Short. That's not the one with the rabbi dating the blonde lady. What's her name? Gossip Girl. That's not that one, is it? Is that a different one? This whole delay thing, I need the delay to be shorter for me. What is Long Story Short? We're Googling it, you and me. From guy who did BoJack. Will Arnett? Oh, no, I have not seen this. Well, I mean, we knew I hadn't seen it, but okay. All right, maybe I'll have to watch it. Who's the cast? Abby Jacobson, Nicole Byer. I do love Nicole Byer. Ben Feldman, Lisa Edelstein, Max Greenfeld, Michaela Dietz, Angelique Cabral. Cabral? I'm going to say it like that. Paul Reiser. Do you think people hate on LA because they're jealous? I don't think jealousy is the primary reason that people hate on LA. I think it's because of its reputation that is earned in certain ways. And I say this, right? Guys, I'm going to say this as someone who's born here, went to school here. I know many people here from many different communities in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is bigger than you think it is. We're doing it again. We're doing it again because I think it's important. Put in the chat right now. Don't Google it. Just tell me in the chat. How big do you think LA is? Miles wise. How many miles across do you think LA is? Don't feel bad about getting the answer wrong. If you get it wrong, it's okay. It's okay. There are wrong answers objectively, but you are not wrong for your answer, right? $2,000 square miles. It's not that big. 150, 200, and you're allowed to hit as a NorCal boy. That's okay. We'll put in kilometers. And how many kilometers? 40 miles. Okay. It is 1,300 square miles. Nope, square kilometers. 503 square miles. 503 square miles. 1,300 kilometers. All of the pink is Los Angeles. And you might be like, wait, why are there little cutouts? Gerrymandering and politics. Do you know what this corridor is right here? Do you see this right here? That is because this is the port of Los Angeles. So this part, not LA. The pink, LA. This is Los Angeles County. Okay. So this here is the county of LA. Okay, well, I guess we can type it in that way. Okay. Wait, okay, there we go. So this is the county of Los Angeles. Unfortunately, I heard people hate LA, but LA people don't even think about NorCal. I think about NorCal because I love Northern California. But the reality is, yes, most Los Angeles people are not thinking about Northern California. Unless they want to go to San Francisco for like a gig or something. We are not. Like, we want to go see a show, maybe. But most of us are not thinking about Northern California. So the light part is the city of Los Angeles. And the dark part is the county of Los Angeles. Now, if we look at this one is a little bit more, this is neighborhoods. You can see, so like this here is the Pacific Palisades, which is what was burning. This is Woodland Hills. My store is over here. This is West Hills. And then over here, this is LAX, so Westchester, LAX. And then this here is the corridor, the harbor corridor, San Pedro, Wilmington, Harbor City. This is the port of LA. This is where you'd fly in right here. And then there's Playa del Rey. And then randomly, this is its own city. Oh, Santa Monica, own city, right? The county is massive. Only Rhode Island and Delaware. By population, Los Angeles County is larger than 40 U.S. states. Did you hear that? Yeah. Our population, 10 million people. Yeah, 10 million. The GDP of Los Angeles County, $1 trillion. Good night. Good night, dear friend. Sleep well. Where is the, I need to find the population. There are 88 incorporated cities and 101 unincorporated areas. Again, 40 states are smaller than the county of LA. So when people talk about moving to Los Angeles, right, one of the things that gets me is, let's go back for a second. They'll say, I'm moving to LA. Where, babe? Where are you moving to in LA? From here to here? Do you know how big that is? Do you know how large that is? To get from here to here, you're screwed. And I know that because I worked in Carson, which I don't know if you can even find it on the map. By the way, I want to show you on the map of California. This is what it is here. By the way, we also have islands. The little orange bit is in California. Like, and so the reputation, what I was getting to in this whole shenanigans is that the reputation LA has is earned by the transplants telling other transplants. And the reality is, if you as a non-LA person moved here as a I hate the term Angelino. I don't know anyone from LA who uses the term Angelino, but the reality is, if you move here with the mindset of being a transplant, which I believe transplant is a mindset, there's a difference between immigration and, transplanting. If you have the mindset of being a transplant, you are going to live in the LA that you hear about online. Because you're only going to surround yourself with other transplants. You're only going to get your recommendations of places to go shopping, places to hang out, places to be from other transplants who probably are not ingraining themselves in the community, don't actually learn about their communities, don't learn the history of the area they're in, don't learn where, why, and how these things happen, don't actually get involved in their local politics, their local community. They don't actually make an effort to be part of their local community. And they're going to the same places being recommended online. They're going to the same places that are getting promoted by people who go, for example, if you go to Community Goods or at the coffee shop, there are a million other coffee shops that are better than Community Goods, but Community Goods is the one that's getting all the hype. And then as you're waiting in line for that, they're going to tell you about a bagel place over the way, and you're going to go to that bagel place, and the bagel place isn't going to be that good because it's just another transplant opening just another one, right? And so I get really frustrated when people are like, everyone in LA is just being in the industry. You think everyone in Los Angeles wants to be in the industry? You think the person who sweeps your floor, who does the janitorial services on the set of the TV show you signed up to work on, you think that person wants to be in the industry? Do you think the person who makes your morning Starbucks just wants to be in the industry? You sure? 100%? The doctor who pays your bill, who makes sure that you have medication, the pharmacist who's just filling up your prescription that you're going to sell to your brother's friend on the street, you think that person wants to be in the industry? No, you only associate yourself with people in the industry because you came here with a very specific mission to climb into a specific part of the industry. So you're only associating yourselves with those parts of it. And here's the thing. I grew up in a couple different worlds, if you will, with access to different communities. And I'm very privileged to have that. And I can tell you right now, there are places that are absolutely as superficial and boring and gross and annoying as you see online. And there are absolutely communities that have absolutely nothing to do with it. And it's shocking and embarrassing how many people come to LA and they're like, everyone is just so stuck up. Yeah, babes, because they're in the same room as you. You want to be in that room. And then you're shocked when the room isn't something you enjoy. Oh, no. Oh, God. I remember I made a video and I got really angry about it because it really upset me. And here's the thing. I want to make it clear. Both my parents are immigrants. Both my partner's parents are immigrants. Some of my dearest friends were not born in Los Angeles. They came from other states. They are ostensibly transplants, but they have absolutely made themselves part of their community. They engage in community aid. They engage in mutual aid. They engage in becoming part of the community. They are going to their local, panaderia. They're going to their local spot. They're not just showing up in the places that are trendy and cute and fun because they actually want to be part of the community. They don't want to just be LA. So there's a video where they're talking about how LA doesn't have good food, which is crazy because you know how many things we've invented here in Los Angeles? You know how many SoCal foods have become staples all over the country and the world? Burritos were not made in Mexico, which, by the way, California used to be Mexico. So, we got that. But there's a reason, and that's not to say there aren't amazing food traditions and cultures elsewhere. The point is that LA also has a really cool one. And it's weird that you don't want to acknowledge it. And so someone made a video how there's no good food in LA. And a mutual of mine stitched it and said, yeah, I moved to LA and people in LA don't cook. There isn't good food in LA. Everyone will always tell you about where to go, like what spot they want you to eat at. And the thing is, I was about to be like, no one is inviting you over because you are not part of the community. They're telling you a good place to go eat because they're not inviting you into their home to eat with them. You can get basically anything. I've heard from some people there isn't great Chilean food. And again, I haven't eaten Chilean food in other places, but you can find almost anything here. And if you can't find a restaurant that has it, you can find the ingredients usually to make it yourself because we have import markets from everywhere basically. But I was thinking, I was like, I'm going to be going for Shabbos. I will be bringing food that I make. I'm inviting people to my home but if I don't know you like that, yeah, I'll just tell you a restaurant. And here's the thing. I might not even tell you my favorite ones if I don't know you that well. I mean, I usually will because I want to support small businesses. And so I will, but it depends, Oh, it drives me wild. I'm not a patriot, but I love Los Angeles and I will. Speaking of, isn't this so cute? Look at this little handmade tile with the California state flower on it, the poppy. It just drives me crazy when people come to LA with the express intention of being in the industry, whatever industry that may be, whether it's music or influencing or acting or, whatever. And then they get mad about the culture of the industry they chose to be in because the culture of the industry is all reflected by other people who did the exact same thing. You're mad that everyone's brown nosing because you are also brown nosing and you don't like brown nosing behavior? Oh no. Who could have seen that coming? All right, dear friends, it is 8:17, which means I have taken my time. It's time for me to go to bed. And I will see you all next week. Okay. Bye.